Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Hey my Pookies. If you are new here, my name is Curvy Nay. I am the owner of Touch of Glam by Nay on all platforms. Some of you guys may be familiar with me as we 100K plus strong over there. But you guys have been messaging me and commenting. And y'all also have been answering the poll. I did a poll 2 times on my Instagram, Touch of Glam _ by Nay, where I asked you guys, did you want to see more makeup content? And I got some really great responses. So I went ahead and I filmed this beginner drugstore / low price product review for you guys and makeup tutorial. So any makeup that I've purchased is either drugstore makeup or where you can find it at Walmart, Target, Walgreens, those type of places. Or it is low price beginner friendly makeup that you can find in Ulta. Now, I've been in multiple Ultas in multiple different cities, and from my understanding, they're all set up the same way. When you walk into Ulta, on the left hand side is your lower price items, and on the right hand side is your more higher price items, right? So on the right side you'll see Smashbox, Urban Decay, NARS. You'll see those things up over there. On your left hand side you'll see your NYX, your ELF, your Revolution, your Maybelline. You'll see those products on that side, which are a lot lower price, more beginner friendly, than the right side where it's more you really know what you're doing, you're a pro, and those prices be eating the girls up. So that's what this video is all about. I will make sure I have everything linked down below for you guys, either so you can purchase it off of my Amazon storefront or through Ulta, Walmart, Target, all those places yourself. I did my absolute best to try to be as thorough as I possibly can for this video because you guys have been wanting this so bad. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into the video. Okay, now that we have our eyebrows already done, we're going to go ahead and get into the eye makeup. For the eye makeup, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our bruffer brush that we used in part 1 for our eyebrows, and we're going to use the flat brush that we used as well to apply the concealer. And we're just going to take concealer and we're going to put it all over our eyelid, and then we're going to buff it out with the Eco Styler buffing brush, with the Eco Styler buffing brush. That would not come out. Again, just applying that concealer all over the eyelid, and then we're going to buff that out. Now that we have our eyelids all completely done with the concealer, we're going to set our concealer. To set the concealer, you're going to use a setting powder. And the setting powder that we're going to use to do this is going to be the Revolution Translucent Setting Powder. All you're going to do is you're going to open it and you're going to drop some of that into the lid. This is how much I have in the lid. I'm going to take my same buffing brush that I use for my concealer. Tap, tap, tap. Also tap off the excess so we don't get a lot of fallout. And then I'm going to buff all over my eyelids and under my eyebrows with this. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to go into our eyeshadow palette, and this is going to be a great beginner eyeshadow palette because it has all of the colors that you need. So this is the Morphe 35V palette, and it has all of the perfect colors that you need as a beginner because typically you don't venture out too far with other colors. So you have your neutrals, you have your cool tones, and you have some warm tones. You have some highlighters here, some glitters. Very, very beginner friendly color palette, and I definitely recommend everyone get this. Because this is a soft glam look, I'm only doing one color. I'm gonna go with a brown that is more complementing to my skin tone. So because I am more chocolate, I'm going to go in with a chocolate color because I do want this color to pick up just a little bit, versus going in with a lighter color brown right here. That's not going to really show up on my eye. It's going to give that soft look, but it's not going to really show up on my eye with my skin tone. I want a little bit of a deeper color. So the color that I am going in with is called In the Zone. I'm going to use my Morphe M200 brush. This is a fluffy brush for your eyeshadows. Also can be used for your creasing and things like that. I'm going to use this brush to apply this eyeshadow all over my lid, and to also use it to buff, because when we're applying eyeshadow, not only do we want to make sure that we're packing the color on, but we also want to make sure we're buffing it out so that we don't have any harsh lines, and we want it to fade as we go to the top of the eyebrow. So we're just gonna tap into that, tap, 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 pick up that color all over that brush, and then always tap off any excess because you're gonna get fallout when you do this. So we're just gonna go in and tap it all over the eyelid, just like so. So packing this on, I'm literally just going all over my lid everywhere. And as I pack it on, I'm coming up a little higher, but making sure to focus more on the lid here. Come up here and focus on this about 50%, and then this about 25%. So you're literally allowing it to transition. Now what we're gonna do is, after we've packed on this color, we're going to start to buff and blend. And to do that, you can either do circular motions in a flick with your stroke, or you can just do a circular dragging motion. Whichever one you want to do completely depends on you. These are very pigmented eyeshadows versus like some of the cheaper ones where when you're doing any type of dragging motion, that can cause you to have patchiness. You're not going to have that problem with this palette. Go into my motions that I was telling you about. And the circular motion is to get you that transition. Raise your eyebrow. If you are a hooded eye girl, you're going to want to raise your eyebrow while you're doing this to make sure we're getting all those creases. And blend. Okay, now that we have finished our eyeshadow, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a cleaning wipe, and we're going to wipe the excess powder that fell out from our eyeshadow and from our setting powder off of our face. Now that we've taken that off, we're going to go ahead and we're going to prime our face. And the primer that we're going to use is going to be the Maybelline Master Primer. This is going to have a blurring effect, but primer is used to prime your face, fill your pores, and to help your makeup stick. So we're just gonna open this up and we're gonna apply it all over our face, making sure you get a lot of focus on your T-zone. Okay, now that I have fully primed my face, I'm going to allow the primer to sit. I typically like to allow my primer to sit between 2 to 3 minutes so that it can really oxidize into the skin. Okay, now that we've allowed the primer to go ahead and set into our skin, I'm an oily skin girl, like I said, so I am going to use Milk of Magnesia all over my face. This is going to help to minimize my oil breaking through on my makeup. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this all over my face, allow it to dry down, and then we'll come back so we can start our foundation routine. While that is sitting, I have two foundations here. The first one is the Maybelline Fit Me foundation. And for my color, I have the color, I have the number 370, which is deep bronze. This is actually my summer color. It's a lot darker. In the winter, I'm usually mocha, because you know you get kind of lighter in the winter and darker in the summer. So I am 370 here. For me, since I have oily skin, I am going to use matte. However, I do have milk and magnesia on my face, so I can absolutely use dewy. These foundations come in matte and they also come in dewy. Another foundation that you can use is going to be the Maybelline Superstay 30-hour foundation. I have this one here. I also have this one in 370 because it is the same brand. Of course, I'm using the same exact color. If I was to use this one, it does not matter which one you use. I am showing you both of these foundations because both of them are great. So to apply my foundation, I'm just going to use the same concealer brush that I used when I did my eyelids and my eyebrows, just to apply it onto my face. I like to apply it on my face in strokes. This allows me to easily control my foundation. I'm gonna use the Morphe M6 flat brush. This is a flat brush foundation brush. I absolutely love using brushes to apply my foundation all over my face. However, you can absolutely use a beauty blender. This is a Real Techniques beauty blender that I got from Ulta. This is a jumbo one because this is a face and body one. So you can use this for your chest and neck and things like that. You can absolutely use this over your face. I always recommend people using a beauty blender wet because when it's dry, it soaks up too much of your product and it dries out your face a lot quicker when you're trying to move the product, so it makes it very hard to move. Anytime I apply my foundation, after I've applied my swatches, I go in with my setting spray. The setting spray that I use is my Morphe setting spray. This is the Jumbo Continuous Setting Spray Mist. I'm going to use this, spray a little bit of this over my face to help pull out some of that tightness, and it also helps to move the product around since I am using matte, because matte dries down very quickly. And then I put some on my brush. Anytime you're putting foundation on, you want to try to avoid your eye area till about like this here, right? So when I'm applying this, I'm not trying to get all into under those creases. You don't need to do that because you're gonna apply concealer there, and it can cause caking if you have a lot of under baggage like mine. These are my natural eyes. This is how they've always been my entire life. Make sure you get around this crease of your nose very well. And for my girls who wear wigs or who have closures and stuff, go into your hairline. Get that closure because you're helping it to become the same color as the foundation that you have. And this helps with your casting as well, so that you don't have that light cast around. When you do your foundation, you do want to make sure you come under your neck, under your face, the bottom of your face, and then kind of stroke down your neck. It's like a flicking motion to help it to blend out. And when you're on the side of your face, you want to blend out like this, and around your ears you want to blend out as well, because you don't want to see where that cast is of where your foundation stops and your real skin shows, especially if you're someone who has a darker face than their neck or who has a lighter face than their neck. A lot of people have that. So like my neck is darker than my face, but I'm not matching to my neck. I'm matching to my chest, because if I match to my neck, it's still going to be lighter down by my chest. So I tend to pull my foundation all the way down depending on what I'm going to wear that day. So that's just like a whole other story. You don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to make sure I get foundation under here to help me blend, and so I don't have a harsh line. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to conceal. And when we conceal, we're going to conceal in our T-zone. So our forehead, down the bridge of our nose, our chin, and then under our eyes. Now there's some tricks to concealing when you're concealing, because I do have a larger forehead naturally. I like to keep my concealer smaller on my forehead and not put a lot, because I want to be able to control it. And I don't need to open up my forehead a lot. If you have a smaller forehead, you're going to apply more concealer and you're going to open up your forehead up more, so that you're making it appear as if you have larger spacing, but not, you know, to the point where you got a 5 head. So I want to keep mine very minimal. And then also your contouring is going to play a role into that too, and I'll get to that later. Then you will come down the bridge of your nose and you do your chin. I also like to do above my lip, especially if you're someone who has a shadow. Now, when I say a shadow, I just mean like literally a shadow. Like there's some darkness there, not darkness because you have hair. If you have hair above your lip, baby, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and take that off. Get, you know, Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. Take that off before you do your makeup, because applying concealer doesn't do anything but highlight that. Okay? It's gonna look worse than what it looked like when you didn't have any makeup on. So trust me, remove the hair and then go ahead and conceal that area. Also, we're gonna do under our eyes. I don't know if I said it, but I'm using Fawn. And because I do have those, the bags like under my eyes, I always like stretch with my face. That helps me to get up in there. And I always do my concealer in a small V when it comes to under my eye, because keeping it smaller allows me to control how far I come out, because you can only come out so far. Okay, so you see how your cheekbones is here? You don't really want to take it out further than right here when you start to buff out your concealer. So you're just coming in like this. Remember, our buffing, anytime we're buffing on our face, it's just always the tap, tap, tap motion. When you're going above your lip, you're going to actually connect the under your eye and above your lip. So again, you see how my cheekbones is here? I'm not taking this concealer past where my cheekbones are, okay? So there should seem like there's a connection of a V like this, okay? And that's where we want to keep our concealer. When coming on the side of your nose, you're going to really use your concealer to help pull your nose in. Your contour is going to snatch it, but this is to help make it appear flat. So we wanted to snatch it in, so you do want to bring it around the side of your nose. This helps your nose to come in, shrink, okay? Your concealer is also going to be what cleans up your eye makeup, okay? I just made a line so I can get that clear. That's the only time you really drag on your face, is when you're like drawing something, and at that point I was technically drawing a line to make my cleanup, okay? Something to remember about concealer, you gotta move quick. It starts to set, and if at any point it gets to a point where you cannot move it, apply your setting spray. So because I have a bigger forehead, I take this, I come slightly around, slightly over my eyebrows, about a third over each side of the eyebrow, and then I come over like an oval. Keep it really small because I want my forehead to come in, not come out. If I wanted it to come out, I would go a lot bigger with that. So with someone with a smaller forehead, you would make that a lot bigger. Depending on what you need for your forehead, right? If your forehead is short but it's long, then you'll want to go up to heighten it, right? If it's long, you'll want to keep it in tight to keep it, you know what I mean, tight on the sides to shrink in the sides of your forehead. Okay, now that I have that buffed and they're not fully buffed out, what you're going to do is you're going to take your foundation brush, not applying any additional product, and you're going to come in and you're going to buff the harsh lines to get rid of them. See how that harsh line, it's gone now. And you want to take that completely around the sides of the concealer. My concealer came all the way like this. I want to bring that in, tighten that up. Same thing with around your chin. Now that I've went ahead and I finished that, I'm going to go ahead and allow my concealer to actually sit and set into my skin. Because what's going to happen, all the areas that I have creasing, which is my smile line and then under my eyes, that's going to set in. The product's going to oxidize, and then the product's going to separate because of the creases. And I find that, and I want it to do that so that I can go back in and rebuff it. I find that when I allow that to happen, then go ahead and set my under my eyes and all the areas where my concealer is, then I'm less likely to crease later on. I'm gonna go in with a Juvia's Place contour stick, and I have this in the shade Catina, which is a really nice dark brown. However, I am not going to actually conceal my face with this because I accidentally dropped it in the car and it melted down. Just so you guys can see what it would look like, this is what that contour stick looks like. This is a different shade. This is the shade Jacmel. Definitely not my shade whatsoever. This would be a highlighter for me. But this is what that contour stick typically looks like. So I'm just gonna go in with my Fenty Beauty contour stick, and I'm going to come down. So when you're contouring, this is your rule. You're gonna go ahead and find your cheekbones. Then you're gonna go ahead and, because you see your cheekbones are up here, which means your contour is gonna be below it. But then you wanna do one of those, but go up slightly higher. So mine is showing here straight, but I want it to go on a slant. I want the slant, I want my contour to sit where my sideburn would be. That's a good rule of thumb. Find where your sideburn would hang, and then you want to go on a slant. And that should line up with the side of your mouth. So we're going to go just like this. We don't take it all the way down to the side of the mouth. So we have it coming down here, and then we're gonna also apply concealer up here because we want to create that shadow to shrink our forehead, also to add the depth and the warmth on the outside where our forehead is. We would come down the bridge of our nose. I actually don't use contour stick when I'm doing my nose. I either take a brush, a totally different brush, a flat brush, and I go in with this product and I use it, or I use a powdered only, so that, because this is a contour stick and it's a cream technically, you will have to set this with a powder. When I go in with my nose, I can go in with just a powder, or I can go in with a contour stick and then set that later as well. I usually like to use just powder. So I'll show you guys what I'm going to do for my nose later on, but you absolutely can use your contour stick. Okay, so I like to also come around and do the bottom of my jawline, so I can get some depth there, creating a shadow to kind of help this not seem as big. And I like the way that looks when I do it. Next, we're gonna go in with the e.l.f. Buffing Foundation Brush. It's a fluffy brush. Again, the reason why some of these are dirty is because I had to film this tutorial already. I didn't like it, I scratched it. Here I am the next day refilming. And I'm gonna take this foundation brush and I'm just gonna pat all over my contour. Turn sideways, pat, and flick up as you go. You don't want to flick down because you're going to draw your face down. You want to slightly flick up. Also kind of staying in place right on top of the contour, but a slight flick up because you want it to fade up, not down. Down will bring your face down. We want your face to come lifted. And then when you come around your hairline, you're gonna buff on top. Because I am trying to minimize my forehead, I am going to buff down and buff back. Back because you want to make sure you're coming into your hairline so that there's no casting line of demarcation. Down because I am minimizing my forehead. If you have a small forehead, you're only gonna buff back. Only. Because you want to open up the forehead. And I mean, when I say small forehead, I mean the ones who genuinely don't like that their forehead is so small and they want to bring it up bigger. If you like the size of your forehead, then stay right on top of it and buff back. You don't need to buff down. You would still buff back because you need to come into the hairline though. Okay, after I have gone ahead and completely buffing out my contour, I'm going to go back in with my concealer brush and go ahead and get under that crease. Buff that out like I was stating before. And then I'm going to go in with my foundation brush to brush out the harsh line where the concealer ended and the contour started. Now I'm going to go ahead and set my face. So you can set your face with the Revolution translucent powdered. Also, when you're setting your face, powders come in different colors. So you have translucent, you have topaz, you have banana, sometimes you have a lighter different shades of brown. Because I am chocolate, I tend to go with topaz. I can do translucent, but I don't like the way it looks on me because I'm so much darker that it could leave a cast and you have to be very light-handed with it. When I do this, I use a dry beauty blender. You can absolutely use your concealer brush and apply it and pat it in. You also want to make sure you're getting your smile lines if you have them. I have smile lines, so you're just gonna take it all the way around your mouth. This is going to help to not have you crease there. While this is baking, I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna go in with our Juvia's palettes. These are their bronzer palettes, and I'm going to use these two shades. I'm actually gonna mix these two shades to set all around where my contour was. And I'm gonna use the same brush that I used to buff out my contour to do this. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my fawn, the same color I used for the rest of my highlight, and I'm gonna go ahead and do my nose. I do my nose last because I actually don't like to allow my nose to sit and bake for too long. And I use my beauty blender on my nose because it's the only thing that I can get nice and tight. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to set it and let my face finish baking. Okay, now that I got everything nice and set, my nose has literally only been setting for about 2 minutes. And that's how I like for it to be. I like to dust my nose off right away. I'm gonna go in with this Real Techniques blush brush. Listen, this is a blush brush, but I love this for dusting off all of my powder. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so bad for dusting off my powder because it's something about how big and fluffy it is, but it has some tight flatness on it. I love it. When it comes to brushes, you don't have to use brushes for everything that they say that they use for. You use them based off of comfort. And it's something about this brush, this blush brush, that just absolutely, I love the way it dusts off my product. So first, I always go in with it clean, nothing on it, and I dust off as much powder as I can. Now that I've dusted all that off, as much excess as I possibly can, I still have a shadow from it. We're going to fix that. Now we're gonna go in and we're going to use some pressing powder to help press into the skin for where all of our setting powder was, to help to demask shadowing that it may have caused, and also to press the pressed powder into the skin so it can give you that skin-like finish. Now, with doing your pressing powder, you can actually use a bronzer in a shade that's way lighter than you. This is the Juvia's palette, the same exact bronzing powder that we use for our contour, but you can go into and use a lighter color if you would like. Or my favorite is to use the Maybelline Fit Me press powder. And for under my eyes, I use 330, which is Toffee Caramel. And I use matte. It's matte and it's poreless. And then for the areas where my contour did not touch, which is really just kind of under here on our cheek, and then to blend everything together, I will use the shade 360, which is Mocha, to set that. Or if I don't want to use the 360 Mocha, of course, you can use your bronzer. Go into your Juvia's palette bronzer, go and find your exact color, and you can use that to bronze your whole face. It doesn't really matter, again, which one you use, just long as you're matching your skin for this step. So I can either go in with my concealer brush to really get in the creases, which I will, all over where that concealer was. I'm going to use my shade, which is the shade Mocha, and I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of the Juvia's. This is the dark, yes, the dark bronzer. I'm gonna use a little bit of this because I have a little bit of a red undertone, and Mocha is too light for me right now because Mocha is actually my winter color. So I'm just gonna mix the two on the same brush that I used to dust away my setting powder. And this bronzer is going to be to bring everything together. So we're putting this all over. Without taking away your highlight, because it doesn't take away your highlight when you do this. This just helps bring your face together before you set. Now we're gonna go in with the Juvia's Palace blush, and I have the Rouge set. This is the volume 3, and these are what the colors look like. I'm gonna use this shade on me. I actually take my blush brush that I use to remove powder, and I dust off any powder that I have with my hand because I don't want it to pick up too much pigment. That's why I go into this, because it has a little bit of my bronzer on it. And I'm gonna pick this up, find the balls of my cheek by doing a smile, and this is where your blush is gonna go, and you're going to stroke it up. Okay, puff it up, not stroke, not swipe, buff it up. For contouring my nose, I'm going to use this e.l.f. brush that is peeling apart. This is the crease brush, but I like it because it has a little bit of tightness to it, and it's not fluffy. It's actually really structured. And I'm going to mix these two colors together so I can do my contour. When doing your contour, you want to go where you can see that you're you can kind of really tell where contour is supposed to go on your nose, and you want to keep it nice and tight to where you had that concealer. Depending on how thin you kept your concealer, I don't let mine get too tight. I kind of widen it out a little bit, because if it's too tight, my nose just be looking real fake. Then you want to blend it up into the eyebrow right under it. I'm gonna go ahead and set my face. I set my face twice. And again, we're going to use the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. I allow it to come all the way down before I decide to open my eyes. When I do open my eyes, I'm going to be looking down the entire time. As a makeup artist, if I was doing a client's makeup, I would use a beauty fan to allow them to dry down, or I would just tell them to keep their eyes closed until I let them know that they're able to open it. Usually people like to cover their eyes so that they're not getting that wet, but I do like to set my eyelids as well. And because the Morphe eye palette is really good, it does not cause it to have any blotchiness in it whatsoever. I am gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set again. As that's drying down some more, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna apply my lashes. Okay, I have my lashes on, guys. So I am lining my lips. I'm using the same NYX or NYX pencil that I use for my eyebrows in part 1 to line my lips in part 2. I don't overline my lips. I just follow the natural lining of my lips. And then when I line, I go over it multiple times because I want the liner to get a little thick and bold. And then our lip is going to actually be LA Girl Pro Concealer. This is how all the viral girls are doing their lips. So if you always wonder, like, what is this brown nude lip combo? We just put concealer on our lips. I'm actually going to take some of this Juvia's Place liquid lipstick, and it's in the color Bronze Chestnut. Really, really chocolatey color, so I can help to do the lining of my lip. Now I'm going to take some of this MAC's Ceramoya lip polish. Y'all, this is just Beauty Supply Store lipstick, lip gloss. That's all it is. Beauty Supply Store lip gloss. You could find this, literally this brand at most beauty supply stores have it. Okay guys, that concludes today's video. Make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you would like to see in the next video. Don't forget, this is a beauty and fashion channel. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Let me know what you would like to see next. I can't wait to see y'all. Bye, my Pookies.